And now here's part 3 of my interview with Rachel Sklar, editor-at-large of Mediaite.com. I want to get back to the issue of health care because we have a very serious issue in terms of abortion rights. Right now, in the House bill, there is, as you know, the most restrictive provisions since the Hyde Amendment of 1976 that restrict a woman's right to choose. What are your thoughts on that in terms of women's rights?
My thoughts were really, I was so upset by that. I was disgusted, and I couldn't even believe that it's like, really? It's all coming down to this? You're hinging the entire healthcare bill on a woman's right to get access to an abortion. So great. So now people are starting to say, you know, Obama said, like, this isn't an abortion bill, it's a healthcare bill. Well, you know what? The whole reason that abortion has to be considered healthcare is because of what happened when it wasn't considered healthcare, when it wasn't covered, when people had to go find alternatives. There were, you know, back alley, coat hanger, devastating procedures being done on women. I'm sorry, it is a healthcare issue because it is an operation and there can be complications and people's lives hang in the balance. And there are plenty of reasons, legitimate reasons, to get an abortion. So the fact that this Stupak bill would restrict a woman's right to a woman's access, I mean, based on money, that's the crazy thing. All it does is creates a two-tiered situation where people with money are able to get abortions and people who don't have money can't.
So if you were in the House as a Democrat, would you have voted no on the whole health care bill?
See, that's complicated because if I were in the House, then I probably would have been furiously emailing with people and furiously trying to figure out and finagle, and you know, and of course, you know, you have to deal with the larger leadership. So that's really a tough one. And I think that people who would just glibly say yes or no probably haven't thought it through that much. I mean, if I were in the House, though, I would have hit the roof if I'd been trying to speak and I'd had, you know, people on the other side saying, I object, I object, I object, as they did to one woman who was trying to speak. I mean, that kind of stuff is really unacceptable. But yeah, I mean, I would have obviously spoken out really, really strongly about it, but some of the scuttlebutt about it now is that it'll never pass, it'll come out in conference, and that, you know, there will be ways in which to soften it.
But do you think that that's the case? You've got a number of conservative senators, Ben Nelson, Bob Casey, just two examples, who have made very clear that they are going to veto any health care bill that does not contain the same restrictions as the Stupak Amendment. So it seems as if we're headed down a very difficult path.
Well, the Stupak Amendment goes further than the Hyde provisions. People were never going to get federal money for abortion. But what this does, it says that basically what the Stupak Amendment says is if you get any breaks on health care and then you need an abortion, because you got those breaks, that means you might be able to apply that break towards your abortion money. I mean, it is ludicrous.
And it takes it into the private insurance market, and that's where
absolutely.
It definitely extends the Hyde Amendment. I mean, I think one of the things that's very interesting is that a number of conservative male Democrats in the House said, well, women can go get an abortion rider. This idea that why don't you get supplemental insurance in case you get an abortion? But what woman knows that she's going to get an abortion?
I know. Well,
and there's a stigma to that,
you know,
as well.
Knock on wood, you don't plan for it. And it's not like, I think that everybody has to remember, it's not like going to the abortion candy store, okay? It's not going to be a fun thing. Like, I know women who have had it done. It's traumatizing. It's traumatizing right down to the actual procedure as it goes on. Like, let's be real here. This is a healthcare decision. This is an important decision, and this has great magnitude. It's unacceptable to carry the healthcare bill on the backs of women. You know, there's just, I don't know, I can't remember where I read it. I think it may have been on Twitter. Somebody writing like, it's awfully crowded under this bus right now. Like, how many concessions?
I think the best description of it is it's a poison pill.
Yeah,
and that particularly for women Democrats who had to vote, they had a very tough choice to have to make.
And like a zero time frame in which to make it, like basically being held hostage. But exactly by what you were saying, which is like, oh, because you can't get your little abortions, you're going to deny the whole country health care. That's an unfair burden to put on women who carry the unfair burden of having to be the ones who have to get the abortions in the first place. So they should think on that.